Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Bronco Business Podcast. I am Daniela, and I'm here with my co-host, Reine. We're both career track MBA students at BoiseState University and graduate assistants at the Management Department of College of Business and Economics. Today, we're thrilled to welcome Keith Sullins, a dynamic restaurant leader and entrepreneur behind multiple restaurants. Keith owns two First Watch locations in Meridian. First Watch is an award-winning breakfast, brunch, and lunch concept known for its fresh made-to-order dishes and creative items. His career is a great example of how hospitality can turn into something impactful, people-focused, and full of opportunity. Keith, we're real excited to have you with us.
Well, thank you for having me here in Boise. It took me a long time to get here, but I got here, man.
All the way from Texas.
Actually, I flew to Salt Lake City first because on Monday I opened another restaurant, and then flew over here to see, we're doing some construction, and then I said, hey, I got to go see my friends at Boise State. And so here we are. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you very much.
We're so lucky to have you. Awesome. So before we dive in, can you tell us what the hospitality world looked like for you as you were starting and what drew you to the industry in the first place?
I graduated college in 82. I actually got out of college 3 years. I got done in 3 years instead of 4. And I had a dream to go to work for Procter & Gamble. That's what I wanted to do. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't even sure what Procter & Gamble was, but I knew I wanted to go to school there. I wanted to go to work there. And so I interviewed with them on career day, 4 interviews. I made it through 4 interviews, and finally they said no. And it broke my heart. Had I known they make toothpaste and dish soap, I wouldn't have been so excited about it. But I wanted to go to work there. So they said no. But being the entrepreneur that I am and the aggressive person I am, I found out where the recruiter was staying. He was staying at the Holiday Inn in downtown. And so I went down there. And back then, you'd ask what room they're in. They'd tell you. So I asked what room he was. They said that's up on the 2nd floor. I went up there, knocked on the door. He opened the door, and his face turned white. And he didn't know what I was doing. I said, look, I've always wanted to work for Procter & Gamble. Can you please tell me why you would not hire me? And so he started giving me the corporate spin of, da-da-da-da. And I said, look, just you and me. Why will you not hire me? And he says, off the record. And I said, yeah. He says, because you're an entrepreneur. You would never make it in our company. And I said, what do you mean by that? He goes, well, we have set rules and regulations and ways we do things. And I can tell by talking to you, you would always be looking for better ways to do stuff. And I said, yeah, is there something wrong with that? He goes, with us at this particular time, yes. He goes, you need to go find a job doing something to where you can learn finance, construction, real estate, HR, everything, to where you'll have enough clubs in your bag to where you can one day go start your own company. And I said, okay. And so I left there. Called a fraternity brother of mine up who just so happened to be working for a company that owned Pizza Hut, Long John Silver's, and Grandy's in Wichita, Kansas, restaurants. And I knew I did not want to go to work in restaurants. There's no way, because I have a college degree. There's no way out now that I have a college degree. How am I going to tell my mom I'm working at a restaurant? But I interviewed with him, and I said, man, this seems like a great opportunity. It wasn't my plan for that to be the end case. That was just to get going right out of college. And so that's sort of how I got in the restaurant business. When I was in high school, though, I worked at a Central Missouri State University in a dormitory, Ellis Hall, and they were looking for a pot and pan man, somebody to clean pots and pans after the dinner, breakfast, lunch rushes at that dormitory. I started washing dishes, and I fell in love with it. I said, oh, my God, this is so much fun, washing dishes. And people laugh at me to this day because when I go into one of my restaurants, they go, what are you doing? I'm going to go wash dishes. And I'll show them how to lay it out because everything I do, I sort of, how can I make this more efficient? How can I go faster? And so that's where I got my first taste of restaurants. Then when I ran into my friend, my fraternity brother in Wichita, I got into it. And I was a marketing guy. I joined the marketing department. My job was to open restaurants, which meant I go around and blow up balloons, cut the ribbons for the grand openings, and I counted coupons. I did a lot. We didn't have a lot of computer analysts at that time. I was having to do it manually. And once I got into it, it became, man, this is sort of fun because all day long, all day today, I've been drinking coffee, talking to customers, just having a good old time. So to me, I found the job that's perfect for me because it got me close to people doing something that they love to do, and that's eat. So,
and that you love to do too.
Oh, I love to do it. Absolutely. Well, love to eat. I like to eat. Do I love to eat? My wife loves to eat. I swear to God, we'll go to Taco Bell. She'll read the menu for an hour until she finally orders something. I guess after I've been in the restaurant business so long, I had a friend of mine fly into town. He flew in to see me. He goes, "Where's a good restaurant to go to?" And I said, "I don't know. I have no idea." And Houston's got 1,000 restaurants. I said, all I do is I eat in my restaurants and I go home and cook something home. But so when you say, do I love to eat? I guess when I'm around it all day, it's fun to make. It's fun to do. But I'm not a guy that's going to sit there and eat, because if I did, I'd weigh a lot more than I do right now. So anyway, there you go.
Yeah. That's excellent. So that kind of leads me into my next question is, you were kind of turned away from that first opportunity because of your skill and your drive and your determination. Do you think that this kind of goes into what the most underestimated skill someone needs to succeed in this hospitality industry? Would you say that is what it is? That's what it takes?
Well, I think in any business or anything that you do in life, you better have enthusiasm. You better attack it and love it. If you don't, it becomes a pain in the butt. And, sometimes I'll talk to people that work for me, and they say I don't get to see my family. I don't get to see this. I don't get to see that. I say, look, you just don't have your priorities right. Let me show you how you see your family. Let me show you how you do things like that. But I think if you have the enthusiasm, you can be successful in any business, anything you do. In the restaurant business in particular, because it is a little demanding in the fact that, we're working when everybody else is playing. Somebody will ask me this, "Hey, Keith, what'd you do all weekend?" I said, "I don't know. What'd you do?" "Well, I went out to dinner." "Well, I was cooking that dinner when you were out there." Right. And so while most folks have time off, we're usually in the middle of the firefight. And you got to love that, because if you don't, it's going to kill you. It's going to eat at you till you get out of it.
Can you create that enthusiasm? Like, what do you do to create that for your staff?
For my staff or for me?
Both.
Okay. Well, for me, it just comes natural. I'm
born with it.
If you were to go outside and say, "Let's dig a ditch," I promise you, I'd beat you at digging that ditch. And it'd be straighter and be deeper and be fun, because that's just fun to me. It's fun.
You want to win.
I want to win.
Yeah.
I absolutely want to win. And so that internal drive, no matter what business you're in, is going to make you successful. And then I think when people see that in you, back to your second part of the question, they like that. They want
to copy you.
Well, if you ever anybody who's been in the Super Bowl before, they all wear these Super Bowl rings, and they'll be 10 years, 20 years out of the Super Bowl, they're still wearing the ring. And you'll ask them, "Why are you still wearing that ring?" Because they're proud of it. Because not too many people can do that. And look, we won. People love to win. I don't care who you are. You love to win.
I sure do.
And so if you can show somebody how to win, and they watch you and they see that you're winning, they want to be a part of your team. And that's how I generate that in other folks. They see me lead by example, I guess is what they call it. So.
Yeah, definitely. So that leads me to my next question before I pass it over to Daniela is, what's something that you wish someone told you when you were getting started in this industry? Or did that drive and that need to win just push you to where you are today?
I would have been successful at anything I do. I think I really believe I would. So nobody really had to give me any drive. And the reason for that, I'll tell you a story. I was raised in Chilhowie, Missouri, population 321. I dated every girl in my senior class. There's only 7. No, I'm kidding. But maybe I did date. I don't remember. But it was a small town, and it was a farm town. I was raised on a pig farm my whole life, and I just knew I wanted to get off that pig farm. I do not want to be here anymore. And so I decided that I was going to make something different, and that's exactly what I did. But those values taught me, to get up at 4 a.m, to go milk the cow, to go feed the pigs, to do that kind of stuff like it. I tell people today, I'm sort of bouncing around, I apologize, but when I'm interviewing somebody, if they tell me they were raised on a farm, it's Dover. They're hired. I don't care. And if it was
that work ethic?
And if it was a dairy farm, they're dang sure hired, because you got to get up. Cows do not stop making milk. And so I know that if you're raised on that, you're going to be a hard worker. And even an athlete to some degree, that they're used to, or military, they're used to taking orders, they're used to following, they're used to getting things done. Again, I don't know how I got off on this subject here, but what I wish somebody had told me.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know that there would be anything other than in the restaurant business, make sure that your restaurants are clean all the time. And the second thing is, and I do this when I I'm involved with 8 different restaurant brands, and when I select one I want to be a part of, the food had better be good. it better not just be good, but it better be delicious. Because how many times have you heard somebody say, "Oh, we love eating over here. It's a hole in the wall," but blah blah blah.
Right.
Well, if I can find a concept that's whether it be pizza or fish or this or whatever it is, and they're the best at it, that's what I want to be.
Sells itself.
Yeah, And Papa John's, when I got involved, that was always won Pizza of the Year award, blah, blah, blah. You could get a different brand, and I won't mention one, but I wanted to be proud of it when I was wearing that logo on my shirt. And wherever I go, people ask me all the time, they go, "Do you have any other clothes?" And I said, "No, I'm like a NASCAR man. Wherever I'm at, I'm wearing the logo because I'm proud of that dang thing. I'm proud of the restaurant." So I want to be, if somebody told me something that said, "Hey, get involved with a restaurant that you just think is absolutely delicious," and then you're proud to talk about it. First Watch is that way. You guys ate at First Watch with me the other day.
It was phenomenal, by the way.
By the way, I've been involved with that for 11 years. I've never had one complaint. Actually, I had one. They complained on me. They said I was too friendly. We used to get complaints in this restaurant in South Carolina, and I'd get so mad. I go, "Man, how can you always be getting complaints? Let me be the hostess today. I'll show you how to do it." Well, I got 2 on me that day. And I said, "These people here are just mad at the world. I don't know what's going on." But there you go.
I love it. That's excellent. Well, I'm going to pass it over to Daniela for the next set.
Well, thank you. Your story is truly inspirational. And so we're going to go now with a question, a reality check question. So at times it's about moving quickly, and at others it's about lasting through the challenge.
Yeah.
What's been the toughest challenge of your career, and how did you get through it?
I've had 2 or 3. When you're an entrepreneur and you own your own business, it ain't like you can quit. You can't stop. And so when things get bad, and sometimes they do, and I'll explain one to you in just a second, but when it goes bad, you are the man. You report to the bank. I mean, you could go bankrupt, and if you go bankrupt, you lose everything. And there's nothing more scary than feeling like you're going to go bankrupt. And I felt like that twice. I dug myself out of it both times. And that's a story for another question maybe. But the other thing was COVID. I'd never experienced anything. I don't think any of us have ever experienced anything like that before. Because what happened when it went down, they basically shut the country down. And they said, "Everybody stay inside, put your mask on," and da-da-da-da. Luckily, they named essential workers, and restaurant people were essential workers. So we got to stay open. But still, it was scary because here I am making stuff, and many times delivering it to your house. Like pizza, I could deliver to your house. I'd set it down on the ground. I have to back off, and that's scary. And there's nothing I can do to convince people. There's no marketing promotion I can come up with to convince people to get out of that and do it. So we sold a lot of pizzas because nobody wanted to leave their house. But for instance, our full service restaurants, we should have just closed them because nobody was coming into the restaurants. And I tried everything. I mean, that's when you see how creative you really are. But I'd set up farmers markets. I'd do all kinds of stuff. And we even made a lot of deliveries to hospitals during that period. And I was amazed at how all these nurses were coming in every day. And I mean, they were seeing it ground floor. I mean, they were seeing people not make it. But they would allow us to deliver food there. And so that was a scary time to try to get through that. So bankruptcy was a big one when you're an entrepreneur because you lose that, you've lost everything. Mm-hmm. You're starting over. So those are the 2 things that I'd done. And when I thought I was going to go bankrupt, what I did was the wrong thing. When you get tight on cash and sales are not where they need to be, you have a tendency to start cutting back, trimming back your labor, your food, to this or that. And finally, one of my partners, he is he might be a billionaire, I'm not quite sure, but he told me, his advice to me was, he says, "Keith," he goes, "when times get tough, do what you normally would do, but better." And I said, "You know what? You're right. Instead of cutting back, let's advertise more. Instead of doing, let's do more than we've ever done." And when we did that, we came out of it. And he told me, he said he gave me an MBA in finance through doing that. And I said, "No, you gave me a heart attack and all these gray hairs and wrinkles is what you gave me." But I'll never forget that. Most of the time you try to cut back and save the ship instead of saying put the pedal to the metal and let it go. And had I not made it doing that, it probably would have went bankrupt, but it didn't. It made it. So That's the scariest part of being an entrepreneur is, oh gosh, what am I going to do now? No, I don't have anybody to back. I don't have anybody to call for help. There's
you are nothing.
You are, quote, what do they call it? The man.
You are the man, Keith.
You are the man. And so very scary time.
Yes, it is. Definitely. So we're now going to go to a different block. It's called Impact and Leadership. So you made national news for personally giving your own car to an employee who was struggling after a personal hardship.
How did you find that?
It was in the news.
It's everywhere.
Keith. It's everywhere. You look up Keith Sullins and
yes, that's the
so
first
you looked
thing
me
you
up.
find.
Okay.
Oh yes, definitely.
I don't know what else is on there. So okay.
We studied you.
Yeah. Here, let me tell you something. I had at that time. I had probably about 5,000 to 6,000 employees, and I don't know them all by name. And I have a real weird skill. I can't remember people's names. My wife gets on me all the time over that. But it's hard when you got that many people. But I can remember your hair. I don't know why. I'll come into a restaurant and I go, oh, you got your hair cut. Or, oh, yeah. So I remember stuff like that. So little things I try to pick out in all the people that work for me because, they're making me successful, whatever it is. And so I heard a news station had called our office and said, hey, there's a gentleman down in our Conroe location who he was actually living in his car. I didn't know that, but he's living in his car, and somebody stole his catalytic converter while he was in there. And when they did, I think you have to cut it off with a saw or something. And it caused sparks, caught his car on fire, and so his car burned up. Oh, by the way, that's his home. So if you're living out of your car, things are sort of tough. And if somebody burns down your car, you lost your car where he was a pizza delivery driver. He lost his income, but he lost his home. And so they told me about that. And I said, you know what? I had a Ford Fusion, I think it was. I don't remember what it was. But I went down there to him, and I was talking to him, and you could see he just had the worry of the world on him. And I just reached in my pocket, and I said, hey, here's a car. Here's a new home. It wasn't a home, but, take this. And he started crying, and it was very touching. It was very touching. I did that because the person that makes me successful is him. And so I have to do whatever I can to repay. And that wasn't a lot, but there was a bad side of that story. I left my Eagles Greatest Hits in the CD, and he kept it. And I lost that, and I told everybody about that if you watch the news show. But I got about 100 Eagles Greatest Hits tapes sent to my house. But that's why I did it, is I make a special effort to try to know something about everybody. And it might just be your hair. I'm sorry. It may just be that.
Hair is a great thing.
Tell me about it. Look at mine getting gray now. But, so that's sort of how that whole thing came out. And now that you say that, it did go national. I remember that. And everybody, it wasn't planned. It was not planned at all. This is just hey, here's an opportunity to change somebody's life and see what you can do. Where's he at right now? I don't think he works for me anymore. He'd worked for me for a long time. I didn't know him, but I don't know where he's at today. I hope he's doing well.
Yes.
Beautiful story.
Yeah. And that decision wasn't just generous. It showed a very human approach to leadership. So what does leadership with empathy mean to you, and how do you practice it every day?
Well, being raised on a farm helped because I can't explain it, but it's just a different kind of person that lives on a farm. We have to work our butts off and that kind of stuff. And you just become that way. I think. I'm not sure all folks are that way. Maybe it was my parents. I'm not sure. But I had a genuine love for just about everybody. And like when I built my company, it was very interesting because when you are the man, as they say, you can do anything. You can pay your people very little. You cannot give them any benefits. You don't have to recognize their birthday if you don't want to. And what I found in life and what I found in these restaurants and in my company is that those little things make a huge difference. I'll give you an example. When I was putting together my benefit package, everybody pretty much has salary and vacation and insurance. And I said, we need to do more than that. So I would give out a maid allowance to where you could go hire a maid. Now, it was like $100 a month. It wasn't a super huge amount. But can you imagine you get to at least have somebody come? You can pay somebody back then. You could $100 to come clean your house. We did things like disability insurance, long-term, short-term, because it was so inexpensive to do. Why wouldn't I do that? To where if you got hurt, what are you going to do? I mean, what are you going to do? And so now if you get hurt on my company, at least you'd be covered for years of pay of what you would have lost and that kind of stuff. And so I constantly look for things to do that. I found that there was kids, especially that work in our restaurants, sometimes are lacking in a lot of income. And I always noticed there was always people that had teeth problems, and either missing teeth or crooked teeth or whatever. So I created this thing called Smiles. And Smiles was come to me and let's talk. And well, let me see what I can do, because a smile means a lot. And I don't mean this to be a sexist way, but especially the girls. I mean, girls they know when their smile's not great. And so twice a year, 3 times a year, we'd pick somebody, or they'd come to me and say, hey, can you please help me? And so I would pay for the dental bills to go and get them fixed. And I tell you what, of all the programs I've ever done, that's probably been the most rewarding, because you think about changing somebody's life. I mean, that changed life. One young lady worked for me in Conroe, like I said, for a long time. Never had a boyfriend, never had this, never had that. And once she got her teeth fixed, she got a boyfriend, she got married, they got kids now. And so I can say I had a little bit to do with that maybe, but it gave her confidence.
Exactly.
It gave her confidence to where she could go out and do those kinds of things. So when you're building a company and you own a company and you can do anything, you try to look for those things. Like we'd always have a Christmas party every year. And it was a big Christmas party. I'd set them up in hotel rooms, and we just have just a heck of a time. I would take them on my multi-unit guys and girls on trips once a year. We'd go somewhere. We'd never go to Vegas. I made a mistake with that one time. I ain't never doing that again. But I'd take them places like Sedona, or places where they'd never been. Unfortunately, the spouses would say, why can't we come? And I said, well, this is a business trip. We need to do business. But guess what? I showed your husband or your wife Sedona. Now when you have a vacation, they can take you to Sedona. I'd rather you be on vacation with him and be on vacation with me. But we just did little things like that. Every time we could find a reason to celebrate, we did it. And so I think that's why people sort of hung around. I'm sort of retired. I'm not really. I'm retired, but I got 10 stores under construction. So I guess maybe I'm not. But my average tenure for multi-unit managers was 25 years. And so what that basically means is the people that work for you sort of grew up with you. I mean, I'm 64, but 25 years of my life I knew you, and we worked together. Yeah, you became a big. It sounds cliche, it truly does. But I went to every wedding. I went to every baby being born. That was sometimes awkward, but I would do it. And sometimes I wouldn't even go to the wedding, but I'd say, you better invite me, because if I don't come, I'm going to send you a check for $500 or a wedding. Yeah. And so a wedding gift of $500, go have fun. So anything you can do to make your company fun and more than just a job, that's what we tried to do. And that's where I got that empathy. Is that what you call it? Yeah. You work for me, you're going to say you had a good time, because I wouldn't quit. I tried to make them quit. Nobody would quit. Nobody would quit. I said, come on, quit. No, we ain't quitting. Well, I get here too much. In reality, if you get a tenure of 25 years, ask anybody in any business, that's cool, because you don't have to constantly spend money training folks. They know that when it rains in the pizza business, it's going to be busy. I don't have to tell them it's going to get busy. They know it. We've all been there before. And so empathy pays out tons in profits if people feel like you care something about them.
Definitely. Yeah. Every story you share, you show how human, like your empathy and how generous you are, which is amazing.
You know, I'll tell you one other thing just real quick before you go. Is that I sold one of my companies. And so when I sold the company, there were some people in the company before I sold it were, Keith, you're too hard on us. You push us too hard and da-da-da. And it was 6-7 months later, they'll come back to me and they'll go, thank you for pushing us like that, because this new company, they don't even say hi to me when I come in. They don't do this. If I have to call in sick, they get mad, yada, yada, yada. So I think sometimes people don't always know what they got until they don't got it. And so, but that was fun, being the entrepreneur, being the owner. I could do anything. I could do anything I wanted to do. And that's what made it a blast. So if any of you guys out there, girls, end up owning your own companies, make it fun. Make it fun.
Great advice.
Yes, it is. Well, thank you. So for our next question, how do you balance being a leader who's driven by results with being a leader who's driven by people? What do you see as the long-term impact of that balance?
If you ask anybody that's won a championship, whether it be football, golf, name it, let's go to Tiger Woods real quick. Tiger Woods was probably the best golfer of all time when he was in his prime. And before this tournament, he would go out there and he'd hit 100 balls. He didn't have to hit 100 balls. Michael Jordan would shoot free throws before the game, hundreds of free throws. He didn't have to do that. He could do it. But he did it because he wanted to win. He wanted to be the best there was. He was driven by performance. And if you played with Michael Jordan, you probably became better because he pushed you to become great. So in our company, that's one of my strategic plans I have written down there. It says we are a high-performance organization. So, I appreciate that you tried, but hey, we want to win, and I want to show you how to do that. But at least give me the effort to try to win it. So I don't know too many successful people who just sort of get along. I mean, whether it be Steve Jobs or you name super successful entrepreneur out there right now, they're probably first to work, last to leave, I'm sorry, but that's the way we're going to play the game. And the good news is when we win, you're going to wear the ring and you're going to tell everybody. And you can put on your resume, hey, guess what? I was the franchisee of the year for 10 years in a row for this company. And you can put that, and then you can get a job off of it and stuff. And not just that, but when you do get your job, you'll run circles around everybody else. And you'll come back and go, wow. Okay. So like when your parents pushed you to do the best you could, in school or whatever. Thanks, Dad. I didn't want to get up here and study every day, but I did, and now look what I did, and blah, blah, blah. So
yeah, that's amazing. Thank you. Now I'm going to leave you with Reine.
Okay, let's pivot a little bit and let's talk about what advice you have for students and, people in their early career. So for students or professionals that are listening and they're curious about hospitality, but they're unsure about if it's for them, what would you tell them to, help them open their eyes and see the possibilities in this industry?
Yeah, it's very simple. And it's not just hospitality, it's anything. And I'll give you an example of that, is that go play doing what you're going to do before you commit to it. My daughter majored in hotel hospitality at the University of Missouri. And when she got out, I got her an internship at the Ward Hotel in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And she worked there all summer, and they didn't pay her a dime, not one nickel. But she worked in the restaurant at night after she'd get off working the front desk and stuff. And later on, she would tell me, she'd say, Dad, I do not want to be in the hotel business. And I go, but you just spent 4 years to get in the hotel business. She goes, I just don't want to do that. Everybody here just comes in and complains all the time. And I go, well, yeah, and your job is to calm them down and make it friendly again and stuff. But she found out early on that's not what she wanted to do. Now, my other daughter wanted to be an engineer. I got her a job at Budweiser Brewery plant in Houston, Texas. At 18, she was working, making beer at 18, which I'm not sure if that's illegal, to tell you the truth. But she knew then that she wanted to be a chemical engineer. It helped her out. And so she went and did that. Now she has a job working for Frito-Lay making potato chips. Go figure. Cool. Comes home with orange all over her face. It's Cheeto Day. It's Cheeto Day. But she figured out what she wanted to do. So I'd say in the hospitality business, get a job in a restaurant. Go get a job in a restaurant and see if that turns you on. And if it does, then that's half the battle. I hate people to get in jobs and they say, God, this is terrible. I just don't like doing this. Well, guess what? You're about to spend the rest of your life doing this. You better find something that's extremely fun for you. And you know what? If you find something that you truly love, Confucius say, find a job you love, you never work again. And he's absolutely true. My brother says, Dad, says, Keith, don't you ever take a day off? And I said, no, I don't think I've had a day off in 30 years. Well, how do you do that? That's not right. I said, well, because I love it, man. When I'm on vacation, I want you to call me. I really do, because you're my friends of 25 years, right? And I just want, hey, what's going on? What's happening? Now, I understand not everybody can be that way, but that's my advice to folks. Find a job doing something that you absolutely do. That's called a job for a reason, right?
Right.
It's called work for a reason. Every day's not going to be peaches and cream. I get that. But if you love it, it just becomes an opportunity for you to get through it. That's my advice to anybody in the restaurant business.
That's excellent.
I'm going to tell you one other thing I would advise you in the restaurant business. I always had people come to me and go, I'm getting the divorce. What's going on? I never see my kids. I never see my wife. I'm working so much I don't see them. Well, in the restaurant business, we normally are there to 8 or 9 o'clock at night. That's when it's busy. And so what you have to do, if you get in that world, first you got to understand your wife is the most important thing and so are your kids. So you got to figure out how to make that job get around there. And I'll give you an example. In the mornings, I would take my kids to school every morning because I didn't have to be at the restaurant till 9 or 10. And they had to be there like at 7. So I'd drive them to school an hour early and we'd sit in the car and we'd play spades or we'd play poker every day. My advice to you is don't play them as spades or poker. They're pretty good at it after all those years. But we learned math, but more importantly, we just spent time with each other. And then when I came home, a lot of people, their kids would go to bed at 8 o'clock. My kids didn't go to bed till 10. And because I'd get home, I would not turn on the TV unless we played a video game together or something like that. But I gave them 2 more hours. And then every Sunday was my sacred day when I was just going, that was my family day. I was going to take off unless something big was going on and I couldn't. But make time for that every Saturday night, even this Saturday night is date night with me and my wife. We do a date no matter what. And sometimes I'll come home and she'll go, oh, do we really have to? And I go, shut up and get dressed. We're going. And we've been doing it for 30 years. We've been married for 30 years, but every Saturday night is a date night. So what I'm saying to you is when you get in restaurant business, it's going to be very demanding on your time. Mm-hmm. Don't let it destroy what's the most important thing is, and that is your family. And I think that if you do what I just told you to, you can absolutely make it through that. And the other thing, like with your wife, every restaurant we have, I make Valerie go. Her name is Valerie. I make her come and work in the restaurant with me. And before we buy it, she'll dang sure do it because if she says it's not good or if my kids say it ain't good, we're not going to do it. But when I was with Waffle House, the busiest day of the year was Christmas. And why? Because everything's closed. And so the only thing open was Waffle House. I mean, there'd be a line out the door. And I used to sit there and go, why are these people coming to Waffle House on Christmas morning? It didn't make any sense. Well, that New Year's Eve, and I'd say, hey, Val, go in there with me and let's work together. And I did that for 2 reasons. One, to shorten what I was doing, but the other one, so I could say I married a Waffle House waitress.
There you go. Very fancy.
So I would make, as much as you can get your spouses and kids involved with you, then it becomes more than a job. It becomes they're part of your life and doing what it is that you do.
That's beautiful. And that covers my next question is, people that want to go into this industry and not just have it be a job, what mindset or habits, matter the most? And you just covered that beautifully. So, making time for your family and setting aside time for what's important to you really can make or break your career. So that was excellent. My next question is, you're talking about your younger self when you were getting into the industry. What's one piece of advice that you would give to your younger self just to, persevere, keep that enthusiasm going? Is there anything that I know we asked you at the beginning that you wish you would have known, but now that you have all of this experience, what would be one thing that you would tell your younger self when you're just starting out? Well,
the one thing I've learned over the 30 years or so of doing this is that smart people rule the world. They do. I mean, most leaders out there are relatively bright.
That's why Daniela and I are doing an MBA.
Smart people rule the world. And so you're smart in one of two ways. You're either naturally born smart. Unfortunately, that wasn't me. Like I said, I was raised on a pig farm. My wife's whole families were engineers. I'm married up, but all my kids now are engineers. And they didn't get that from me. They got that somehow instilled in them from her or in her blood. So I would say my advice to you or anybody, especially in restaurant business or any business, is to get smart. Force yourself to get smart. And you'll say, what do you mean by that? I read 6 papers a day. Now, I don't read them, okay? I scan them. And what I do is I find a paper, the Boise paper, the Salt Lake paper, wherever I'm doing business at, I read that paper. And again, I'm just scanning headlines, going down through them until I see something that interests me, and then I'll actually read it. But I'm scanning headlines every day, 6 to 7 papers a day. And I do that so that when I come in here and talk to you MBA smart girls, there's not much that we can't talk about. I know I know a little bit about everything. Not a lot. I don't play me in trivia because I'll kick you, you know what. But it helps in starting conversations. What was that guy's name? Dale Carnegie said, find something when you're talking to somebody that is important to them and then talk about it. So
And that's how you connect with them, make that relationship.
And once you get that relationship going, then it's easy. And so when you go to get your first job, get smart before you do. Don't walk in there. I was talking to, what was his name? The safety for, no, he was a guard for the Texans. What was his name? J.J. Watt. And I was going to hire him to be my sponsor, my spokesman or whatever. And he called me up. I was in New Zealand. He called me up. It was the middle of the night. And I said, JJ, do you know who you're talking to right now? And he said, not really. And I go, how would you get on a phone talking to me and you don't know who I am? Like you guys said, I saw you gave a car away.
Right.
You did some research. He did no research. And I said, JJ, in the future, when you go to do business with somebody, know who you're talking to. Know a little bit about them so that they don't have to explain who they are and stuff like that. And I would tell anybody out of college or getting in the restaurant business or any business, before you get in there, do the interview, before you go meet the guy you're interviewing with, the girl you're interviewing with, do some research, and you'll find out a lot about them. And then, they're trust me, they'll be on the internet somewhere. They'll be there. And then ask them that question. So, Keith, tell me about why did you give away that car? Mm-hmm. And then, wow, we'll start talking. And once that happens, you build a personal relationship with them, and they don't even know it. And guys and girls, I'll tell you this, if you're looking for a husband, do the same thing. Find out a little bit about them. Then when you're on that date, say, oh, tell me about when you played baseball. What was it? I mean, and you may not even care about baseball.
Pretend, though.
And next thing you know, they'll fall in love with you. So, and then the last thing I would tell you is always try to win. Always try to be number one. I don't want to be number two at anything I do, although I am a lot of times.
But why would you strive for that?
Because it's fun to win. It's just fun.
Exactly.
It's fun to be the best. It truly is. I mean, you guys are doing it now, going to get your MBA. Mm-hmm. You know, you had to decide, I'm going to go another 2 years or how long it takes to do it. That takes some drive, and that takes somebody who wants to be the best. I'm going to hire somebody like you guys because I want somebody that I don't have to push to be number one.
Right. They already want it for themselves.
They want to be number one. And if they'll be number one with me for the first 5 or 10 years and then go do something else, that's okay. But if I do my job right, you ain't leaving. At least not for 25 years. It ain't going to happen. So
I won't allow it. That's excellent. Beautiful answer. One final question for you, Keith. What is something, you were talking about doing research about, people that you meet, the industry. What's something that you're excited about in the future of this industry and the hospitality industry? Do you have anything?
Well, if you look at what's going on out there right now, right when COVID first started, this Uber Eats and what all the other ones, all the different
DoorDash,
those guys like that, they were almost going bankrupt. In fact, they were on the verge of bankruptcy, and when that happened, it's not going away. You younger people will pay $6 to have somebody deliver something, which especially
if we're studying and we can't.
To this day,
no
I don't
time.
get that. But whatever. But like in the old days, it was always pizza and Chinese. That's all they would deliver. Now everything delivers to you, and so I think the future of food is going to be to where it's going to be easier to get.
Convenience.
Yeah. In fact, if you look at, when I was growing up, most food sales came out of grocery stores. And now almost all of, not all, but restaurant food sales has surpassed grocery food sales. Well, how can that be? Mm-hmm. What that means is the future of our business is it's pretty good because everybody's got to eat.
Yep.
And so if you can find something that is really delicious that people go, oh, wow. And I think First Watch
definitely does that.
It does.
But when you find a restaurant like that, then half the battle is over with because everybody's going to come to you, especially if you can get personally involved with them. That's why I'm here today at BoiseState, because I figure there's some students out there that's going to hear me talking. Maybe it's just you, but the more I can talk to people and talk about my restaurants, you'll come give it a try. You'll say, hey, I heard this guy was in there talking and stuff like that. And so I think the future of food is phenomenal. This AI thing scares me a little bit for like if I was a lawyer, I'd be going, oh God.
Do you see it affecting your industry at all?
Sometimes on a Friday night at 9:00 at night, I wish a robot was there.
Then that takes away what makes it so great.
Yes.
Well, I don't know, man. I was watching these two robots fight the other day. If they figured that out, I mean, surely they can teach them how to put pepperoni on a pizza. But I don't know that. I don't know. That's a very good question. I don't know. I don't. When the internet first came out, I thought, oh wow, man, what's this all about? This I hear is going to be a lot bigger than the internet, which should scare you and scare me a little bit. But I'm at the end of mine, so I ain't got to worry about it too much.
We'll handle it. Don't worry.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I think it's going. I think there's not too many industries that are pretty safe. I think food is very safe because you got to have it. And,
you got to have it.
And the fun thing about food is that, I can inject it into your veins or through water or whatever, or I can let you chew on it. And you'll go, wow, it tastes great. And this was fun. And
get to gather and talk.
People go to the restaurant, they're going there. And I tell people this all the time. I say, when they come see us, think about the business women. When they come see us, they are in a good mood most of the time. And they're partying or they're having fun with a friend or whatever the case might be. Now, we can screw it up by being late on the pizza delivery or overcooking this or that or whatever.
Or being too friendly.
What are you saying?
I'm joking. That was the one bad review you had. I had to throw it in there.
They did say I was too friendly?
That's what you said.
Oh, I thought you read that somewhere. Oh, my God. But I will tell you this. I wrote down 4 things to I'll wrap it up with these 4 things to remember.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Number 1, have fun. Whatever you do, whether it's in the restaurant business or washing dishes or doing what y'all are doing right now, man, have fun at it. People can see you're having fun. Don't do a job that you're not having fun at because life's just way too short. Number 2, somebody told me one time, they said, do you have a policy manual? I said, yeah, it's about 5 pages long. And they go, that's it? And I go, yeah, it says do the right thing. What do you mean, do the right thing? And if I get in trouble and a lawyer comes after me, if I was doing the right thing, guess what? I was doing the right thing. If my wife was having a baby and we had to get to the hospital and the speed limit was 55, guess what? I'm going 80. And I'm going to get a speeding ticket, but you know what? I want to do the right thing. And so that's how you make decisions in our business is if you don't know what to do, customer comes in complaining and you know that you put eggs on top of that salad or what. You did. Do the right thing. Don't fight the battle. Just say, yes, ma'am, I appreciate it. So sorry, blah, 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 blah. Do the right thing. Next thing, whatever you do, have a vision, have a plan. When I first started about my companies, I sat down and I wrote on a piece of paper my vision of what I saw this company being. There was only like 6 things. I knew I wanted to be the best. I knew I wanted to have this and that. And number 2 was rules to live by. It was a vision that I put it behind my desk, and every time we'd get together, we would talk as a company. Here's the vision. Is there anything that we need to add or take away? And for 20 years, pretty much, no, that we're right on track. This is exactly where we want to be. And I would say, when you're making a decision, revert back to that vision. Is it follow that or does it not? And the last thing in that vision that I had written down, though, was high integrity. Golden rule. Golden rule is out of the Bible. It basically says, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. You can't get back integrity. You can't get, if you lie, cheat, and steal,
that sticks with you forever.
Forever. If
everybody knows. Yeah.
If you don't pay somebody for working overtime or for doing this, and never let your integrity be questioned. You watch the news nowadays and you go, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. Why would this happen? Don't lose your integrity. Be proud of building a company that you did it the right way. You did it for everybody. I don't think anybody could come and get me for anything because I always tried to follow the rule being law many times, and the rule being
the right thing to do.
The right thing to do. And so what a great way to build a company. And people will see that too in you, your workers and everybody. They learn to trust you. In fact, I used to do reviews, and I'd look at them at the end of the review, and I'd say, hey, let me ask you the last final question. They'd say, well, I said, well, you think I'd take a bullet for you? And they'd say, what? I said, do you think I'd take a bullet for you? And they'd say, you know what, Keith, I sort of think you would. And I said, not in the chest, but I would take a bullet for you.
In the arm or the lower leg.
Yeah, but not in the chest.
In the hand, maybe.
But I want them to know that I would take a bullet for you. I really, truly would. And And that's how we built our company, and that's how you go through life, or at least how I would recommend you doing it, whatever major you're in. But if you do decide to get in the restaurant business, I would ask you to do this. Please give me a call. I don't know if you're going to post my name and number or whatever. Maybe you shouldn't post my number. I get a call 3 a.m. But, I don't even care if you do call me 3 a.m. I'd love for you to work for us. I'd love to have you join our team. But I am going to be looking for the very, very best. And I want to surround myself with people who want to go where I want to go.
Yeah.
And then we'll go there together. So thank you for your time. Thank you for inviting me to Boise State.
Yes.
We had a great
We're
football
so-
team this year. I was so excited for you guys. So excited for you. So now I'm from my kids went to Texas A&M. So one went to Mizzou, but Texas A&M. If we ever play, which I don't think we will, but if we do, we're going to win.
We'll see about that, Keith. We'll see.
Hey, can you give me some tickets to a football game?
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah,
Let's talk about it.
Well, thank you guys for your time. I hope you see you down at First Watch having a nice breakfast. And when you go to First Watch, do not order eggs and bacon. Remember when you came down, I said,
Yes.
do not just order 2 eggs and bacon. You can do that at Waffle House. You can do that at IHOP.
Get what makes
Order
it special.
something special. We have a lot of special. We have
So
a guy
good.
on board. His name is Chef Shane. He spends months, years developing these menu items that you'd say, wow, it's just phenomenal. He comes out with new items every quarter. So go down and try it, and we sure appreciate it.
That
Thank you.
lavender drink was amazing that I had, I remember. Perfect.
Well, thank you so much, Keith, for sharing such inspirational story. Your journey really shows that hospitality isn't just a job. It's a career where you can grow, lead, and make a real impact. To everyone listening, we hope this conversation gave you a new perspective on what's possible in this industry. And thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.